Mhm. This is a big one, buddy.
It is.
You let this play out a little bit.
I think so. In honor of 250.
Here we go. All right, you modern warriors. Welcome back, Geoholics episode. Are you ready for this? 250.
250.
Who would have thought?
I mean, I like the big whole numbers.
I know you do.
That's us math guys.
Yeah.
It's big whole numbers.
Half-century type number.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is like a quarter millennial episode.
Something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I was thinking the other day? I mentioned to you that I went and saw Alice Cooper.
Yeah. Speaking of quarter millennial,
77 years old.
Yeah.
So you know what that told me? You're stuck with me for at least another 20 years. You got 20 more years of this.
It can be done.
It can be done.
And we got plenty of content ahead of us.
The Alice Cooper of Geospatial Podcast.
Wow.
Yes.
And you said I was conceited.
Yes, exactly.
And you just immediately put yourself in the podcast Hall of Fame.
I did. We just made up a podcast.
We did.
So it's easy to put yourself when you make it up. All right, let's get on with this. This week's episode, of course, is sponsored by MLID. Have you heard about Wing to Ground?
Of course I have.
It's an all-in-one kit for aerial surveys. It combines all the elements of a ground control setup, GNSS receivers powered by MLID, of course, checkpoints, and the necessary tools to have a successful project. It automatically connects to the Wingtra tablet, providing step-by-step setup guidance for fast and air-free base and checkpoint setup. It can be used independently for terrestrial surveys, including point collection and stakeout for topography, boundary mapping, construction, and GIS. To find out more, of course, go to MLID, that's EMLID.com.
This is when I wish we could throw up some video, because it's hard to describe this thing in action where you just,
it's super cool.
It's sitting there and then it just takes off vertically and then it's a plane.
Yep,
and then it's incredible. So cool.
Technology is amazing. Yeah. And what's also really cool is obviously Wingtra has that orange color. You know, everything is orange with Wingtra.
Yep.
So MLID took their receivers and painted them that same orange color. So when you get the package deal, it all kind of melds together.
Yeah,
as
makes
they
sense.
say.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is new with you, buddy, on this 250th episode?
Not a lot.
Not so much.
Same old. You know,
it's been a good boy.
I've been a good boy.
Staying out of trouble. Good.
Doing the things that normal principals at engineering firms do.
So basically, you don't do anything and
sit
at your desk with your feet
just
up.
Wait for some contracts to come in. Take all the credit.
Yep.
Identify other problems. Have someone else deal with those problems.
Yeah.
As soon as a good thing pops up, I swoop in and
take credit.
Exactly. What about you? What's new with you?
Oh man, good weekend. I don't remember what the heck I did at this point, to be honest with you. I've been so busy with work, kind of like you just mentioned. Was in Southern California the last 3 days, had some amazing meetings with the Duffinator.
The Duffinator.
Yep. He and I, we making the rounds, visited 4 of our main clients, had unbelievable meetings, incredible takeaways. So I am rejuvenated. As they say. Yes. The energy level I have right now for work is off the charts.
Love that.
I know it.
I'm excited for you.
I'm excited as well. Let's move on. Topodot Song of the Week. Topodot is the industry leader in digital twin production from point cloud data. But did you know that Topodot offers a total data governance solution for free?
Topo shared.
We
got to talk to Ted today.
You got to talk.
I got to talk to Ted today because I can show up to a meeting on time, and you're my counterpart. Also, a grown-ass man can't.
Time zones are a challenge.
Yeah.
Time zones are a challenge.
Yeah, man.
But we love Ted.
Yeah, we do. Coming up.
Yes.
We're a month away now. By the time people hear this, it'll be about 2 weeks away.
May 5th through the 9th.
Yeah, just check out topodot.com.
Sunny Orlando, Florida. And guess what? There is going to be a discount code for Geoholics listeners.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, we will be posting that on our social media platforms as well as our
Can we also
website.
tell people what we're doing on Monday?
What happens Monday?
Monday
of the conference.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you want to tell me? You want me to?
Go ahead.
Sean and I, a.k.a. Abbott and Costello, are going to be the keynote speakers at Topodot this year.
Absolutely.
So
excited for that.
Strap in. If you haven't got your tickets, they're selling out quickly at this point.
Man, as soon as this announcement happens,
yes,
capacity has been exceeded.
Exactly. All right. What do we got for the song of the week?
Of course, we've had the band on before, but not this song. That was Rush. Tom Sawyer is a song. Everybody knows Rush. You can't miss them. Canadian rock band formed in 1968, composed of Geddy Lee. He plays vocals, bass, keyboards. Alex Lifeson, yeah, guitars, and Neil Peart, great Neil Peart on drums. R.I.P. Neil Peart. They are known for their complex musical structures, philosophical and science fiction themed lyrics, and their progressive and hard rock sound. Rush is considered one of the most successful and influential bands in history of rock music. I don't think there's any doubt there. Over the course of their career, they have released over 20 studio albums and have over 40 million records worldwide. The band was inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2013, about 20 years too late. Probably should have been on the initial run.
Unbelievable band. Yeah. One of my favorites of all time, no doubt. Happy that we were able to include them in the episode once again. I think it's the third time.
Third time. It's just surprised that this song hasn't been there. It's one of the one of the great.
Yep. So our guests, just so you guys know, I mean, I know you guys both like music. If you're on Spotify, good reminder, good time to remind people.
Yes.
There is a playlist, the GEOHOLICS playlist. So every song from every episode is in this playlist chronologically. Over 15 hours of music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You were just mentioning crazy. You guys are talking about some long travel. I can tell you what'll get through a flight to Singapore. The GEOHOLICS playlist the whole way.
That'll take care of it.
That'll take care of it.
I think.
That flight to Singapore is coming up in a couple weeks.
Yeah, download it. Okay, we are, of course, in the Altera Central studio. Altera Central is the authorized premier Trimble dealer for survey mapping, GIS, forensics, and marine equipment in Texas, Oklahoma, Arizona, and New Mexico. They also offer field supplies, and they deliver them right to your job site.
That they do.
Take advantage of that. All backed by a service department with one of the fastest turnarounds in the nation. To find out more, go to alteracentral.com. I haven't talked to our buddy Scott in a while. Have you seen him?
I haven't seen him.
Must be busy selling equipment.
I'm sure it's the busy time. I've been doing some emails back and forth, but we haven't got to find a time to catch up.
Yeah, remember, if you're going to buy something, go to the GEOHOLICS website marketplace and look for what they got on sale.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the first place I always go.
Absolutely. Okay. Esri, weekly pro tip. Esri is advancing the power of geography for business, government, and society by making the world's most powerful GIS software. I don't think there's any competition there, to be honest with you. To find out more, go to esri.com.
You've been going with the statesman here recently. All right, here we go. Weekly pro tip. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. That was Winston Churchill.
Sir Winston Churchill.
Sir Winston Churchill.
Can't argue with that.
No? Yeah, you really can't.
Yeah. Have you ever failed at anything, Producer Sean, or have you just been naturally successful at everything?
Man, this is like a very self-promotion episode here.
It is.
I have failed.
You have.
I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but I know it happened. Actually, the quick story is one of the things that I contribute to some success in the last 5 to 10 years is taking the shame out of failure. Just stop caring.
I've been talking about that a lot.
Yeah, it was our friend
Michael Bowman.
I think it's Michael Bowman. And then there was another thing before that he when we had him on, it did really well for me because it connected this. I'm tired of caring about failing. Like, who cares? Just try it. And then that really taking the shame out of failure was just like, to me, that was the best saying, and it stuck with me. So
well said.
I absolutely have fun.
Good reminder.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It was the lack of fear of failing that has propelled some of the success that I've had in 5 to 10 years.
That was great. That was great, Sean. Brought a tear to my eye.
I know. Right here. Right here.
We are at the GeoSearch Career Corner, looking to hire top talent in geosciences. GeoSearch has you covered with a free FREE job posting for GEOHOLICS listeners. That's substantial. As a full-service recruiting company, they specialize in connecting top professionals with the right opportunities.
That's right. With their ad posting service, your job listings can reach nearly 34,000 engaged LinkedIn professionals, maximizing exposure to qualified candidates. Got to say something. If you don't want resumes from every other possible industry with zero experience for the job you're posting, maybe a geo search posting that's a little more focused would probably be better.
Yes.
Don't miss that opportunity to claim your complimentary job post. Email liz@geosearch.com. That's LIZ at geosearch.com today. And as always, happy mapping.
Oh, we're dorks.
I know.
All right.
Sorry, guys. You only have one more of these to get through, and then we'll bring you in.
Next up, we have the GeoNet count of the week. This is one of my favorite segments of the show. GeoNet, of course, is the world's largest blockchain-based RTK network, providing RTK service precise enough for professional survey, construction, and drones.
Current count of the week. 14,542 satellite miners, up from 14,121 last week. That's 400 more every week. 4,377 cities, 142 countries. We talk about it every week. Can't say it enough. Go to geonet.com, geodnet.com. Click on the Find a Hex tab to see if you can put one on your house or your place of business and start making money. I have to ask every week. I ask. Mr. Dopey Dilf. How's that GeoNet
it's in the works.
Have you pushed to order yet?
You know what?
I know you can afford it.
To God truth. I will be up in Pine this weekend.
Okay.
And I'm going to make sure that I have everything in place to make that purchase.
You can just purchase it now, and you don't have to wait to go up to Pine to see if you have everything in place. You just buy it.
I have to say one more thing about GeoNet.
I know.
So this is big news, actually. It includes two of our friends of the program.
That's right.
So GeoNet and Bad Elf, we all know Bad Elf.
We do.
Dr. Nick, love those guys over there. They have teamed up to provide an amazing offer for a mere $999.99. I like what they did there, just kept it under 1,000. See that? You can get GeoNet RTK service for 5 years.
5 years?
5 years of RTK service.
$200 a year.
I see what you did there. GeoNet is also offering to place, get this, maybe I should just do this. GeoNet is also offering to place a base station, should there not be a base station within 40-kilometer radius of your operating area, with a 5-year subscription.
Wow.
So they make it so easy. It's like a no-brainer.
Yeah, you really got to do that.
Yeah, it's like, who's not going to do this? I have no idea.
I don't know, but I'm going to ask you next week if you're one of those people that aren't going to do that.
I know you are. I might be sick next week. I might be calling in sick. All right, to find out more about this amazing deal, go to bad-elf.com/GeoNet.
Nicely done. Can we get our guests in? I'm dying to talk to these guys.
Going here. These guys, they're sitting here looking at us like we're a couple idiots. All right, our guests, of course, are presented by Trimble. As always, we love the folks at Trimble, dedicated to big thinking innovation. Together with their worldwide distributor partners, the Trimble Geospatial team is working with current and future generations of surveyors for a more sustainable future. That's a mouthful as well.
It is.
To find out more, go to geospatial.trimble.com.
Who do we have in here today?
We have a couple influencers. I would call these guys influencers in their respective fields.
Yeah.
In fact, their intros are probably going to be just as long as our conversation with them. Yeah, this is going to be great.
Yeah, I think if we go through all of Dr. Sam's education, we'll
yeah. We promise.
And all the letters after this guy's name. It's like
we will be at our actual conversation point here in less than 5 minutes.
At
this point. Yeah. All right, let's go. All right, so we have Dr. Sam Ariaratnam. How'd I do?
Did it great.
Awesome. We got Dr. Sam with us. So born in Waterloo, Ontario, Canada, a city around 60 miles southwest of Toronto. It is the home of BlackBerry.
Yeah.
Did you watch BlackBerry?
The movie? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's great. So good. Good. His undergraduate degree was from University of Waterloo, master's and PhD from University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana. Go Illini. although I went to SIU Carbondale, and the Salukis and the Illini didn't always get along. You know, we always thought like the Illini were like the Harvard of Illinois, and SIU was like Animal House,
or they're like, who?
Yeah, exactly. And all of that was in civil engineering. So, so Mr. Sam here and you, Sean, you guys have a brotherhood,
Kindred spirits.
Hobbies include travel and golf. He was telling us about all the travel he does. Pretty amazing. He is a professor and chair of the construction engineering program at the Arizona State University.
Well, that's your old job.
Yeah, right. His career highlights include being a distinguished member of ASCE, 2021 Stephen D. Bechtel Award recipient. We're going to find out what that is. Sounds important, though. Appointed to the Gas Pipeline Advisory Committee by former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, yep. And his passions include trenchless technologies, especially horizontal directional drilling, which we're going to learn a lot more about here in just a second. And then we have Firat with us. Firat, Sever or Sever?
Sever's as close as it gets.
All right, Sever's as close as it gets. Firat, born in Turkey. Education, I should ask how to say the name of this school. Yildiz?
Yes, right on.
Yildiz Tech. That's in Istanbul. And he also attended Tulane University. What is the Green Wave or something?
Yes, the Green Wave.
Yep. His current job is water conveyance discipline leader at CDM Smith. His hobbies are hanging out with his 13-year-old son, cycling, hiking, snowboarding, reading, traveling, watching sports movies, and this one here I got to find out more about, tinkering with his Turkish instrument, the baglama?
Balama.
Oh my goodness. Career highlights. Led a team that designed and manufactured the world's largest composite pipe, carbon fiber reinforced, served as principal investigator or co-principal investigator on several research projects on underground infrastructure. Oh, is that you just pulled it up over there. That's cool. Made the cover of a trade journal on the economics of pipeline rehabilitation, served as the technical program chair of ASE Pipelines in 2015. Passions are bringing innovation and quality into underground infrastructure design and construction.
Yeah, I wasn't lying. Firat, PhD, PE, BC, PLW, BCEE, FACC.
He's probably making half that stuff up.
that doesn't even make sense. Yeah, you stick some in the middle, like no one's going to pay attention to what that is.
Well, guys, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the GEOHOLICS.
It's a pleasure.
Man, oh man, you guys got a lot to talk about. Tell us about this instrument.
What is the thing?
Geographically between India and the West, Europe. So it's the instrument that's somewhere between a guitar and a sitar. So it's
right on.
How many strings?
7.
Interesting. So can you play the guitar though? Are you like?
No, I love the guitar, but I'm not a guitar player.
But you're
I better listen to it because you don't want to hear me playing.
Yeah. But you can play the baklava. Is that
You eat baklava. You play baklava.
Gotcha. All right, Dr. Sam, tell us about this Stephen D. Bechtel Award. What was that all about?
So it's an award given by the Utility Engineering and Survey Institute. So there's a recipient that gets it every year, and I was honored to get it in 2020 for pipeline engineering.
Nice. Whose palm do you have to grease for that one?
Put in a lot of work and effort, I guess, right?
So how in the world? So this underground infrastructure, trenchless technology. How did you guys get interested in this? You want to go first, Sam?
Sure. You know, I was a professor at the University of Alberta, which is a really cold place, but nice place to be. And, there's a lot of oil and gas, a lot of directional drilling up in that area. And that's kind of how I got interested in it. And built that career I've been involved in horizontal directional drilling and trenchless technology since 1996. So it's been quite a long time.
I had no idea we were doing it for that long.
Oh, we've been doing it for longer than that. Horizontal directional drilling started in 1972. So
really,
I mean, but there's other trenchless technologies as well that are even older. So
wow, who knew?
I mean, we all did. But
just a surveyor.
So, what about you for underground? I mean, water conveyance, all pipeline stuff. Are you also on the trenchless bandwagon?
Yes, and yes.
And at what point did you really start? When did in your career did you realize this was what you're gonna specialize in?
Well, pipelines right off the bat. So I earned my bachelor's in 2000, and that was right after the major earthquake in Turkey in 1991.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
job as a fresh graduate or whatever came my way, and
Yeah.
that happened to be a field engineer in pipeline construction.
Sure.
And
So interesting.
pipelines at that time, I never got out.
Interesting.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So like the whole trenchless technology, maybe just tell the listeners exactly what that means. Is it just what it says, trenchless technology? I mean, how does this work?
So think about, let's look at the medical analogy, right? If you think of open heart surgery, open heart surgery, you would, crack open the chest and you'd go in there, do the repair, and then you have to sew yourself back up. And the recovery is quite long for something like that, right? And it's intrusive. Whereas think of trenchless technology as like angioplasty, right? You go in, make a small little incision in the body, go in with a camera, assess the situation, and then put a stent in or whatnot if you need it to be. And then, the patient is up and running the very next day from that. So it's a very minimally intrusive. And when we look at society and that with roads, and I spent a lot of time overseas going to various like big cities like Beijing and Shanghai and Sao Paulo, Brazil, and these big places where there's 20, 30 million people in a city, and you can't shut down a road to repair a sewer or anything like that. So you have to use a trenchless technology to be able to do that. And that's where it's becoming more and more popular and more used. Right?
So talk about the backstory. You said 1972 was when underground or trenchless piping or directional drilling started?
Directional drilling. A guy named Martin Charrington out of the Northern California. He was tasked with crossing the Pajaro River right around the Sacramento area for PG&E.
Okay.
Putting in a little small 4-inch gas line. He was going about 200 feet or so. And he said, well, it's got to be a better way of crossing this little river. So he took a vertical rig and he made it horizontal, and he's got the patent. And he's a friend of mine.
Really? That's crazy.
He's I think about, his late 80s. And actually I saw him last year. He's a super guy, like just an incredible guy, but he revolutionized the whole industry. That's just pretty massive.
Talk about, back to what we were taking the fear out of failure. Like,
right.
What's the worst that could happen? Let's just dig a big hole on one side, flip this drill on its side, and just drill this way under this river.
So really dumb survey perspective question.
As you would expect.
For this, utilizing this method, you mentioned you dig a hole on one side.
Yeah, you got to get down. Or maybe not. Maybe
you're surface launched on it. You don't dig a hole. You're surface launch and go underneath.
How do you control it though?
Oh, that's pretty easy. You've got locating systems on the end. So, for example, if you're in an urban environment, you have walkover systems, has electromagnetic signal from the ground that you get all the information on a receiver, and you can tell exactly where you're at, right? And if you're doing a river crossing, we use a wireline system that kind of came from the oil field industry. So it triangulates and tells you exactly where you're at. So it's pretty precise in terms of the technology in that. So that's where the directional part is.
But even if you know where you're at, how do you, that's what I think Kent's trying to understand is how do you change the direction from the surface if you're drilling into the ground? Yeah.
So most of the bits are slant faced, right? So if you imagine it's if I took my arm here and I set it slant face like this, right? So if I'm rotating, I'm going forward, but if I need to make a change, I look at what the clock face position is, right? So if I'm a little bit low, then I switch to 12 o'clock and the rod gets pushed and it deviates it. If I'm a little bit to the right, I'm going to go to 9 o'clock and get there. And then the different bits are going to be based on the anticipated soil conditions, right? You're a geotech.
Now we're talking.
Guy. We're talking geotech, right?
Now I get to dig a hole in the ground. That's all that counts for me.
But geotech is the most important thing for trenchless technologies, right? It's really understanding, and I say anticipated because that Mother Nature doesn't put everything uniform. Sometimes you might be a rock in the way or something. So you have to kind of do your investigation and do that. But trenches has come a long way. And I'm passionate about horizontal directional drilling. And, it's mean, the world record is 5.2 kilometers in China. It's incredible.
Wow.
You know,
That was my next question. Is there a limit
Well,
to
that's
how far?
that is the world record. And actually, I just talked to
insane.
the contractors that did that. We're just here at the show at the conference at
Oh,
Firat
at
Night,
the no
dig in
yeah.
Denver. We just got back yesterday from that show, and those contractors were there.
Really,
They have the
really?
number 1 and the number 2 record, 4.75 kilometers. So, you know, to put it to your viewers who don't know metric, but so 5.2 kilometers, like 17,600 feet.
Crazy.
Why? What's the application that is needed
For something like that?
So
to
that
directly drill 17,000 feet?
So, you know, that application was the Hong Kong airport. So Hong Kong International Airport was expanding and putting a new runway. And so they had to bring jet fuel. So they did twin 20-inch jet fuel lines to the airport. So that's what the application under the Hong Kong harbor. So that's why they had to go so long.
Crazy.
And the one that was the second one, actually, I was on that project. I visited that project. I wasn't there the whole time, but that was in Shenzhen, China, in the south of China. And that was actually the Chinese were decommissioning a coal plant, and they had to bring natural gas instead. So that's what they did. They brought natural gas from an island into the mainland, right? Yeah. So it was quite an incredible project. I actually presented on that project at the No Dig show on Monday. So it was kind of fun.
That's cool. So it's all fresh in your mind.
It's all fresh in my mind. Well, I was there last spring to see the end of the project, right?
Yeah.
And then I saw the beginning of it before that.
Yeah, yeah. So how about you, Firat? Like when it comes to like utility engineering, like talk about the role that plays in your daily life as far as your professional life goes.
Yeah, it's my professional life is pretty much all about utility engineering, utility infrastructure, pipelines, new construction, rehabilitation, trenchless technology. And I do lead design teams, and I review a lot of designs. And we also provide services in the construction phase. We work with surveyors and yeah, from inception to completion, all underground infrastructure.
Basically. I like this question you put up with. I'll ask you for what's the biggest misconception people have about underground infrastructure?
I would say people think that it's easier than it looks. They take it for granted. The pipelines they've been around for hundreds of years, and what's the big deal about it? But once you get more into it, you realize that there's data acquisition is involved from the get-go, and for new construction, it requires a good deal of planning. You need to have a good alignment, otherwise you're setting yourself up for a failure, no matter how good the design is from that point on.
Yep.
And it also involves geotechnical engineering, hydraulics, and even structural engineering for larger diameter pipelines. And the technology is evolving, especially at conferences like this at No Dig Show. We see that new technologies and vendors and a lot of innovation going on, actually, much more than most people would think. It's not really as stagnant as most people would, average person would think. It's not.
Yeah, surveyors can say the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So one thing that we always take away when we go to conferences, there's always like a buzzword or a buzz phrase or something that the people is mostly talking about. What was that for you guys at No Dig? What was the new hot thing or the thing that was on top of most people's minds when they're saying, hey, what's going on in the industry?
I don't know. I think from my perspective, I think what people are talking about, and it's in every industry, is AI, right? How does AI get integrated into the underground pipeline systems and that? But, just to kind of, and I agree with what Firat was saying, but the thing that people don't really understand with underground infrastructure is that it's out of sight, out of mind, right? So
sure.
If you're driving and you see a pothole in the road or some damage and you go, oh, I've got to fix it, right? But when do we fix our underground infrastructure?
When it shows up at the street, when it makes that pothole.
When we can't flush our toilet, or we turn on our tap and it's brown water coming out, then you go, oh my gosh, we got to do something about it.
Sure.
So that's what the big challenge that people like Firat and I have is like having people to really understand that we have to take a proactive approach. We can't wait for it to fail, right?
Yep.
We have to. We rely so much on underground infrastructure. I mean, all kinds, whether it's water, sewer, telecom systems, electrical has been really big in the forefront right now, right? So all those gas, oil, these are all underground infrastructures that are very, very critical to society and, you know, the economy of the nation, right?
Yeah.
Do you think people know how much pipe is under the ground, especially on the streets, you know, like
they have no idea. I mean, you know, Firat, you work on, you know, you design and you build these projects, and, you know, do you take your 13-year-old son and you say, well, you know, I built something and it's underground, right?
Yeah.
Whereas these architects will say, look, this beautiful building. So it's a little bit different in terms of that.
Yeah. Yeah. We take it for granted for sure.
We're working subterranean, right?
And we've had a number of, you know, subsurface utility engineering folks on the show in the past. And, you know, the one common theme out of those conversations is how poor condition our infrastructure is in this country, and how much unknown there is. Like, we don't know where all of this infrastructure is. The records aren't great. I mean, there's so many challenges when it comes to that.
Well, that is one of them, but also just even the condition, as you mentioned, the funding gap gets wider and wider every year. That's what we need to maintain it and what's available.
Yeah.
So that's wider, and that's why the trenches technologies and other innovations are needed, so that we can do things more efficiently and get more done.
Yeah.
With that, the limited funds that were available to be able to address these infrastructure systems.
Yes.
So what else is there behind trenches technology other than directional drilling?
Oh, there's many trenches technologies. I mean, you know, I'd have to have a laundry list of them to go through them, but, you know, microtunneling and auger boring. There's
what's the difference between directional drilling and like jack and bore? That's the term that we always.
Jack and bore is auger boring, right? And you're not going long distances. You're setting up and just going kind of across a highway type thing, and you can go bigger diameters if you want.
Okay.
But you can't do the really small diameters. Like, if you want to put a telecom line in, you're not going to use a jack and bore. You're going to use a directional drill, and
just kind of push it through.
I can guarantee if you looked around here in the Phoenix area or any city, you're going to see a directional drill, probably putting in a line for Verizon or AT&T.
Oh yeah,
something like that all the time, every day. And then you're going to see gas distribution, right? Because they're in, you know, when you look at telecom, you look at gas distribution, electrical distribution, these are in urban areas, right? So that means traffic, surface activity in that. So you're going to want to use some form of trenches technology in those areas, right? In greenfield, you might dig it up, right? Or do what you like, right? Dig some dirt up and put a trench.
Yeah, I gotta pull it up. I gotta put it in my hand. I gotta taste it, and then make some, you know, some great recommendations, and then put it back in to last forever.
Yeah, and these are the technologies for new construction that we just discussed. There's another side of trenches technology that is rehabilitating existing pipelines.
Yes. Is that where you put the trash bag inside the pipe, or like a rubber, you know, like a just like
maybe a little bit more advanced than
like a piece of bubble gum that just kind of
in theory.
That's not a bad because we're referring to CIPP, like your invert aligner that goes into the pipeline, like inverted sock, and then pulled through and then cured, and it becomes a pipe within a pipe. And there are a few other techniques.
Yeah. So think stent, right? Think of having
damage
and putting something inside, you know, to keep the system running, right? And that's what's important. But yeah, rehabilitation is huge as well too.
And what percentage of that do you think that the rehabilitation side is pushing more towards, or it's getting more affordable and it's starting to be more an option versus just, if there's a leak, we got to dig it up and fix it and put a new one in? Are you seeing more rehabilitation now?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Oh, worldwide. I mean, I can tell you from a worldwide perspective, you're seeing it everywhere. All corners of the world, you're seeing rehabilitation, new insulation using trenches methods. So
I can give you a personal example.
Yeah, we love those.
Well, I was working on a project in Florida many years ago, and I wanted to use trenches technology, trenches rehabilitation for water mains as well. And it was already common for sewers, pipelining. And at that time, you know, I was having a hard time convincing clients because the cost of it was pretty much the same as replacing it. The conventional open cut method. But no, it's no longer the case. I think it's becoming more and more economical over time as we see more competition among, you know, manufacturers, vendors, and as more players come into the game, then that also affects the price and makes it more affordable.
But you also have to look at the overall price, right? I mean, when you're digging up a road and you're putting in a trench, you take the asphalt off, and then you got to backfill it, which you like, and then you have to pave over it, and then and then you've got what you call these social cost savings, right? So what's the cost of parking meters that can't be fed because the street's down for a couple weeks, or the cost of people having to have detours to get to work or somewhere because it's shut down for an open cut. So those are factors that you have to look at when you're looking. It's the overall cost. It's not just, we rehabilitated, or we put a new pipe in, or we did this, but what did we avoid cost wise, right?
Yep.
So
I can't remember who it is that I'm connected with on LinkedIn. I don't know if it's Jim Ansbach or somebody that posts these like historical pictures of roads under construction and all of these lines, running all over the place, like spaghetti.
It's Ansbach for sure.
Yeah, how in the hell? Like, so this directional boring idea would not work well in that kind of scenario, right? Because you'd be hitting all these things. How do you avoid all this shit? Just go.
Yeah, you'd have to go deeper, right?
Yeah.
Just go under it.
You'd have to
come back up.
There's no way. You're not going to thread the needle, and I wouldn't advise that in any
analogy. It's just like, let's see if we can thread this needle through this.
No.
Scary.
What about again, dumb surveyor question, but Elon building these tunnels in Las Vegas, right? That's a form of directional drilling, right? I mean, he's kind of doing that same thing.
It's tunneling, and I've been in them. It's pretty amazing. With the Hyperloop. So I mean, Elon, what he's trying to do is he's trying to get these tunnels that are going to go longer distances, right? So maybe going from New York to Boston and that type of thing. And I think it's amazing, like what he's done. And I've been in those tunnels. They're absolutely incredible, right? You get into a Tesla and you go to your next stop, and then you get up, and it's just like being on a train, so to speak, but you're in a Tesla.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
But it's pretty wild. And it's
awesome.
It's, I think it's incredible, but it's tunneling, and tunneling is, it is a form of trenchless methods. I mean, you're not digging up the tunnel or digging up a trench or anything like that, but tunneling is massive. I mean, these are big. But you got to look at it. There's utility tunnels for like the sewer and water stuff that Firat designs. And then there's transportation tunnels, right? For rail and cars and that.
I always think of the aqueducts from Die Hard 3.
Oh yeah.
Those big, they're just conveying water. It's just on a massive scale.
I was a couple of weeks ago.
Oh really?
Angeles, yeah.
Oh wow. That's crazy. A lot of these big cities have that system right underneath the city. I know in Chicago there's like these tunnels and all over the city, and it's just full of utilities and stuff like that. And I think they have them in Phoenix as well, right? Aren't there some tunnels underneath like downtown Phoenix? I think there are.
There are some, but those are like, there's some really, really old ones that still kind of exist from when there was a plant next to, I'm going to say it wrong. There's something next to the railroad tracks, and that's where they took the oil that went to the power plant, and that went on an underground tunnel to where APS is, and
crazy
all the stuff or whoever is over there. And that's how they got the oil from the train to the power plant way back then. It was all underground. Yeah. But I want to loop in these guys on a topic that we talk about a lot, and we were talking about a little bit, and the idea, because the first thing I think of in this directional drilling, or you just have in these urban cities like you were talking about, just utilities everywhere underneath there, and you're like, oh, you don't want to thread the needle, you want to go under it. But you guys have traveled around the world, do other big urban cities know where all their underground utilities are versus are their as-builts better, or is everyone just shooting in the dark when they dig a trench like we are?
Oh my gosh, I mean, we're doing way better than any of these other places do.
Really? Interesting.
China or India, they have no idea where anything is. Or Brazil, just anywhere in the world, right? And so, we've with the 811, that call center. I mean, that's a pretty big thing that we have here and in Canada and UK and that I think in Australia as well too. But these are, I mean, mapping the underground is so critical, right? And that's a big area that a lot of companies are working on, because if you don't know where the utilities are, I mean, it's a big problem.
Sure.
Right. Obviously, if you're going to do trenches, but not just trenches, if you're think about, excavating, you have a big excavator there, and, you pull up an electrical line or something. Right.
Yep.
So,
I mean, any utilities, even the stuff above ground, you still got to put poles in there, and who knows what's down there. So, I mean, I think it connects so many boxes. And
Yeah.
when you said the underground utility mapping, that checks a lot of boxes for a lot of our listeners, just because all the different ways you can represent that. Pulling in as-built and is it all just thrown on a GPS where all the how do you guys approach that challenge when you have to get across the street and it's just a sea of who knows what kind of utilities are under there?
No, we don't rely on 100% on as-built, that's for sure.
No.
Sam, that we're doing better in terms of record information, but that by no means, gives us the confidence to not do any further investigation before taking on a construction project.
Yeah.
Like what kind of further investigation? You guys soft dig or
Sue comes in,
do some big,
Sue's huge,
road x-rays.
Mr. Onbox, I mean, he's like the father of the SUE, subsurface utility engineering. I mean, the more investigation and the planning of a project that we do, the more likelihood of being successful. So, you do 811, you have the other utilities come out and mark the approximate location of their utility. And you look at maps and, you can't rely on as-built, but at least give you an idea. But then what contractors, the smart contractors do is when they get out to the site, they look for surface features, right? So if there's a manhole, hey, guess what? There's probably a sewer going in there. Was that marked? Let's flip the manhole and see what's the lid of the manhole and see what's there. Or if there's a electrical transformer box, well, probably something there. Or a gas barbecue, there's probably a gas line somewhere.
My favorite is when there's more weeds on the side of the road in one spot, there's usually a water valve there.
Yeah, right.
Because there's somewhere, there's a reason why there's a little bit more water in that spot.
Or even a road repair mark, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly. Something happened there and it probably might still be there.
That's what happens. Unfortunately, we still do have hits, unfortunately, that do happen. Like the Common Ground Alliance, their reports, they report that utility strikes cost about $30 billion annually. $30 billion.
Unbelievable.
Annually, so that's kind of unfortunate, right? For sure.
And I got to ask, is in the trenchless technology world versus traditional open trench, do you consider it safer for utility strikes to go trenchless?
Well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, Firat, what do you think?
I think it's more about the accurate record information than the methodology. Once we know what everything is where, then I would feel confident with either method.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
I mean, it's the unknown utilities, right?
Right.
That's the problem, right? So I mean, if you don't know where it is and you take a backhoe bucket and you hit it, you're gonna hit it. You're gonna hit it. Drill or some other method, you're gonna hit it.
Yeah. Okay.
Like depending on the makeup of the soil, you can use like GPR to kind of pre-plan for where those utilities might be from the depth perspective.
Oh, for horizontal directional drilling. I mean, we pre-plan our bores, right? Based on whatever information's available and there's legal laws that are out there. So if you're crossing an existing utility, you've got to soft dig down and get down, create a window and see exactly where that utility is and follow the whole process before you can,
I think Colorado is the first state now.
That's right.
Is requiring level 2, right?
Yep.
Where we dig a restriction.
Yeah. Like why every state isn't requiring that is mind-boggling to me.
Well, even the underground damage facility laws in different states are different in different states, and it's mind-boggling how some of them,
it really is. Yeah, we had the folks from 4M Analytics on, right?
Yeah.
And they, I think they're capitalizing on the fact that our records aren't great, and now they're offering this service, and I don't know a whole lot about it quite yet, but
well, what are you talking about? We had them on the podcast. You are completely informed now.
Free plug. Don't get used to it. I didn't want to go down that rabbit hole.
So you had them on a podcast. I was on their podcast.
Oh my God, that's
wild. But no, they're doing a great job. I mean, they're kind of doing the Google Maps of underground, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And they're using some pretty innovative Israeli technology. Which is really cool stuff. So
pretty cool for sure.
And it's going to be exciting to see where that after all that model training and all the data as it gets smarter, it's just going to get better and better.
Yeah, no question.
So I wanted to talk about UESI, but before we do that, I want you each to give us you don't have to give me your coolest or best, but just give us an interesting project story. You know, you're talking about walking through the aqueducts or whatever. Like, you guys have been around and done a lot of stuff. When people ask you, what's a cool thing you've done, or you're trying to impress somebody on what project experience you've been doing. Can you give us an example?
Like maybe a near-death experience or something.
Oh, I mean, something that,
something
really,
juicy.
Something really good and dramatic.
Yeah.
Well, I quit high-rise construction in my internship, so near-death experience. I'm just going to go back to my previous position. I was the pipeline division manager at QuakeWrap, and we had a quite innovative project. Its technology is called super laminate, and it's about putting a stent that Sam was just describing in a pipeline with a robotic device and the repair point could be miles away from the access point.
Wow.
Utilizing GPS robotic device and carbon fiber lining technology that was federally funded, and we built that gizmo, so that was exciting. So we tested it, and it worked. So it's at the commercialization phase right now.
So you built the gizmo, put it in the pipe, it went a couple miles away, and then fixes it,
and guys, you have to pull it back. So
cool. Unbelievable. Yeah.
What about you, Dr. Sam?
Well, I mean, I've been involved in a lot of different projects, but I want to share with your viewers one of the ones I thought was one of the most interesting ones. I was not involved with it, but I did get to see the pictures, although for security reasons, I wasn't able to keep the pictures. And so in Douglas, Arizona, there was a horizontal directional drill that was on the Mexican side of the border, and it drilled underneath the border to a house in Douglas, Arizona. And they had a fusion machine with high density polyethylene pipe, and they fused the pipe, pulled it back, and and drugs and guns were coming up this way. I actually, and it's not a myth, because I actually saw the pictures of the basement of the house, or the bottom of the house, and all that.
Yeah, that sounds like a near-death experience.
Yes. So there is that application of HDD that we don't talk much about.
Resourcefulness.
Come on, right? There's just a machine right by the border. No one's thinking anything of it. It's like, oh, no one's even looking at it, right? Because that's the thing about trenches technologies. You'll just drive by most of your listeners. They're gonna know that there was.
It's basically, it looks like a box with a pipe going in the ground. You don't realize that somewhere, because that's what I always like, is we pass it, and then I tell Alex, like, all right, let's see where the other side is, and then somewhere down the road there's another crew doing something, and like, you remember that thing way back there? That's all underground.
I'm such a dork.
I know. I can't believe I'm still married.
So, Sean, you mentioned UESI, and actually the way I met these two fine gentlemen was through the Arizona chapter of UESI. So we definitely want to talk a little bit about that.
Mm-hmm.
Who wants to start? Like, just kind of give us an overview of UESI, maybe what the mission and the vision is of the
organization,
institute.
I'll defer to Sam. He's like national president of USI.
Well, of course he is. I'm not the president. I'm the president of left.
Oh, congratulations on your win.
First, I'll be
more palms being greased there. It's happening here, Sam. There's a pattern here.
I know how to grease palms very well. So ASCE, the American Society of Civil Engineers, has over 150,000 members.
Mm-hmm.
And within that, there's 9 institutes, or were 8 until about 10 years ago, when UESI, Utility Engineering and Survey. And what it does is it became an institute. There's a structural institute, there's a geo institute, a construction institute for water. There's all kinds of other institutes, but this was the newest institute, and it's a very successful institute. We have a conference called the Pipelines Conference, which is the most successful conference that ASCE holds in terms of finances and all of that. But really, what utility engineering is, a branch of civil engineering, that focuses on planning, position, design, construction, operation, maintenance, and asset management of any and all utility systems, as well as the interaction between utility infrastructure and other civil infrastructure. And what we've been talking today, we're trying to put in some underground infrastructure, but we need to know mapping and surveying and understanding. So Utility Engineering and Survey Institute is what UESI is about.
And I don't know why more surveyors aren't involved with this, to be honest with you. I mean, it's great exposure. This is an amazing collaboration between these different disciplines.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, go ahead, Firat. Yeah.
yes. Speaking of surveyors, so I guess I have to chime in because I'm the chair of now UESI Arizona, and the surveyor participation is great here. I mean, our board is
that.
I'm vice president, by the way.
You're right, Mr. Vice President, and you know, it's great to see you know, surveyors on board and getting engaged and involved, like Kent and others. So it's a new initiative. It started off a few years ago by Robert Ramsey and Al Field, and then it had a quiet period, and now we are reviving it. And I would encourage all engineers, civil engineers, and surveyors that deal with underground infrastructure or utilities to get involved. And we're going to have great events. We're going to collaborate with other organizations as well. One is coming up in June, and another one in probably midsummer, and in September, luncheons as well as social events that we're planning on here in Phoenix, greater Phoenix area.
Yeah. Frat's doing a great job. I'm not doing a damn thing, to be honest with you, but he does all the work. But we've got,
you didn't need to say that.
You guys mentioned, you guys mentioned the UESI Pipelines Conference as well. Talk about that just a little bit. I know that's a pretty big deal.
That's a huge deal. Yeah. The next one for this year is going to be in Tampa. And so that's going to be a big conference. It's in August. All of our conferences are around the beginning of August, right? That's a good time frame for us. And, you know, it stays away from other conferences that are underground or pipe conference type things. So good time of the year. So I'll be in Tampa. It's going to be a great event. And then in 2026, we're going to be in Detroit, Michigan.
Nice.
So that'll be, you know, that's when I'll be president. So that'll be kind of my conference there, so to speak.
Yeah.
But it's a phenomenal conference. We were in Calgary this last year in 24, and it was an amazing conference in terms of we're just breaking records like every year. We're just getting a lot more people interested in the conference, and the technical papers are really, when you say for out there, it's amazing. We have 200 plus technical papers that are peer reviewed in the conference, as well as, you know, 100 plus exhibitors.
Wow.
You had mentioned Detroit. Is that another, is that
Michigan?
Yeah. So, but the first thing I think of when you talk about utility engineering and it's lead pipes and problems in water pipes, is that under the purview of you guys? And that's something you guys take on?
Absolutely. You're a pretty smart guy, you know? You're pretty smart. No, but exactly. So, I mean, the Great Lakes Water Authority is the big water authority there in the Detroit area.
Right.
And they were like, you know, you got to bring this show to us. Right. And we're like, okay. I mean, you're a huge utility. And of course, the lead pipe issue that they had in Flint is a big thing, and a black mark for Michigan. So, you know, it's good. So
it sounds like that a bunch of smart people can get together and figure out some rehabilitation, a lot of things that can figure out this problem that seems insurmountable, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of Detroit and rehabilitation, that Detroit has a special place in my heart. That's where we installed that record-breaking 16-foot composite liner in a 17.5-foot diameter sewer interceptor that is actually owned by Great Lakes Water Authority.
It's very exciting. Man. So we may or may not be in negotiations to attend that conference.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Firat made an introduction.
Oh,
the GEOHOLICS may be there.
Love it.
Yes.
I think that checks a lot of boxes for me.
Perfect.
Detroit in August will be fun.
That
when we tell people, you know, that we go, where's the 26th conference going to be? Detroit. The first thing they go, Detroit. But when you think about it, you know, it is a pretty nice city. Like downtown, some of these cities just have that connotation, right? But it is good. I'm excited about it. Looking forward to it. Tampa coming up is going to be phenomenal. There's going to be some, there's going to be some boating and fishing along with that, right?
Yep. We have to look our buddy Tan up.
Oh,
he owes us a fishing trip, doesn't he?
Does. We do need to get out on Tan's boat.
Yeah. So what else does UESI do? Do they work with like establishing like standards and best practices? Is that part of what this institute does?
Absolutely.
Yeah, they have what's called manual of practices, right? So for the different trenches technologies and other aspects of piping, bedding, and kinds of things like that are run by volunteers. So the volunteers that are part of the UESI form committees, and then they come up with manual of practices, which are really amazing documents that are peer reviewed. They're used in all kinds of different aspects of it. And then we also do standards, like Mr. Ansbach developed the called 3802. It's the most famous standard for subsurface utility engineering. I mean, everybody looks at that standard, right? When there's a litigation where somebody hits another utility, they're going to that standard to say, did you follow what was done, right?
So that's interesting.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to have dinner with Mr. Ansbach here about a month ago when I was in California hanging out with my buddies at T2.
Oh,
yeah. Such an interesting guy.
Yes,
he's got some stories, that guy. Holy cow, man. We got to get him on the show. He said he'd come on.
Let's do it.
He'd be great. So talk about, there's 9 different institutes we talked about, right? There was 8, now there's 9. People that are members of ASCE.
Go ahead. I got so many questions, but go ahead.
Yeah, the people that are part of ASCE, how do they select what institute they want to be a part of or participate in?
Well, you get one free institute.
One
right?
free institute.
Okay. And then any other institute you pay $20 or something per year for. So for example, I'm a member of 3 institutes. UESI, I'm a member of the Construction Institute, and I'm a member of your Geo Institute.
I love it.
But I mean, that's what 20 or 30. I can't remember what it was, but it's something. It's just nominal to be on additional institutes and participate in their events as well too.
What do you think that? Because it sounds of the other ones, the utility engineering. You said it quickly. Now it's got the biggest conference and like most of the engagement. Why do you think it took so long to? Why does it last to the party of being a separate thing?
Well, so
only 10 years ago isn't that long ago.
Well, so the Pipelines Conference has been around, but Pipelines was not an institute, right? It was a division.
Oh, okay.
Of ASCE. Okay. So it was a division under ASCE. So it wasn't kind of and then a bunch of people got together and said, you know what, we're doing really well. Let's be an institute. And that's when it came about and became an institute.
I mean, it is one of those, it connects, connects you and geo people and you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, pipelines itself, the pipeline division has their own XCOM, right? I was president of it. I was in that XCOM for like 6 years, right? And 5 years and 5 years, because you're president and past president and all that of that. And, now, but UESI has a board that comprises of membership of utilities and like engineers, utilities, we've got surveyors, all different parts of it. So there's a composition that's set on that board.
Yeah. And, let's face it, the majority of our listeners have a survey background. So hopefully that those that are listening will look into this and become a part of it, whichever state you're in.
You surveyors, we welcome you. You need to come to the conference, right? You need to come to Pipelines, have a good time. It's a great time conference. I mean,
and now there's a track for surveying specifically, right?
There's surveying and but we just have a good time at it. The social aspects of it are incredible.
Don't tempt surveyors with a good time.
Yeah, right.
You don't want to do that.
Well, connecting that then, how is the engagement in the general civil engineering world with utility engineering? Like, is that one of those, do a lot of civil, I mean, is it hard to find technical qualified people? Is there a need for engineers specialized in utility engineering, or a demand, I should say?
Yeah, yes. I think so. Yeah, definitely.
How do people even get introduced to it?
Yeah.
It's not like you can get a degree in subsurface utility engineering.
No, it's a subfield of civil engineering.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be mechanical as well, depending on the area you work in.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
We are always looking for young talent at CDM Smith. I mean, there's always a need for.
There's a plug right there.
We usually charge $500 for that.
Yeah, exactly. But even you, Dr. Sam, like if you're in, you're the, let me get the right title here, Professor and Sun State Chair of Construction Management and Engineering.
That's correct. Yeah.
So are you talking all those kids into getting into utility? Like, is is that where the focus is, or how do you get kids interested? We talk about get kids into survey and getting them interested in a field like this.
You know, every kid is in construction civil is taking a surveying class, right? They have one class as part of, and that's really common. I took surveying, my undergrad and that. But I think, you know, it depends on the type of classes there are. So I teach a trenchless technology class.
Yeah, that's cool.
Trenchless construction methods. And not every school does that.
Okay.
So when you do that, you'll see a lot of Arizona State people that are in this industry. And there's a lot of them that were there at the conference that we were just at, that graduated from ASU, that are working for engineering firms, for contractors, for government agencies, that type of thing, that are in that underground utility engineering kind of area. So.
And people that are on the fence maybe about engaging in this particular institute, like what would you say are some of the benefits to being involved with this part?
I mean, it's a really rewarding field. I mean, as I understand it, you know, benefits of being in utility engineering, I think it has been a quite rewarding career for myself. I can speak of myself, and it's a growing area and market, maybe not exponentially, but steadily. Yeah. So there are always jobs, projects, and you know, you just need to have you need to love it. You need to have a passion for it, and it's really rewarding.
Yeah. And you need people at all levels, right? I mean, you don't necessarily have to have a degree to get involved with this.
No, you don't actually, especially if you want to stay in construction. Yeah.
Right. But I think, like, for me, getting involved in anything like that, it's about the networking. Yep. Right. Because you have so many different types of people that are in there, right? You're not all the same. Right. And I think that to me is really critical. And I love that aspect of it the most, you know, the social aspects of meeting people and learning about different projects, learning about new technologies, innovations, you know, bouncing things off each other of, you know, what went well, what didn't go well, you know, lessons learned. Those types of things are really a big part of being part of the UESI.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just seems like it connects easier with the surveyors and contractors, and more than some of the other institutes. Like at the Geo Institute, for example, it doesn't have a big contractor presence, and it's a bunch of geotech guys, right? And then it seems like this connects a lot more people, and that's why it's kind of gotten more popular.
You're absolutely, you hit the head of the nail, right? I mean, that's exactly what it is that we have so much industry as part of ours, right? It's not just a bunch of professors, or academics, which is some of the institutes.
Not there's anything wrong with that. No, apologize ahead of time for some of the emails I'll get for bagging on Geo Institute, but it's a great organization. Have a lot of fun doing it, but it just seems this has more connections with outside industry.
Well, I think what happens, you know, when you have outside industry involved, you have a lot more sponsorships.
Yes. Yeah,
right?
Sure.
I mean, you're not going to see professors going and sponsor things, right? So it's going to be the more industry we have, we have huge sponsorships, right? And a lot of exhibits and that type of things, which are companies, a lot of pipe companies. I mean, every pipe type is present.
Sure. Yeah.
Pipelines company. And then, you know, different contractors and engineering firms and suppliers, and, you know, that's where you get a good cross section of the underground utility construction industry, right?
And we have a nice variety too. Small firms, mom and pop shops, innovation houses, and then you have giant firms. And
it takes everybody, right?
Right.
Yeah. I'm curious. One of the things we talk about on the show a lot is mentoring, and I'm assuming that both of you guys probably had a good mentor at some point that kind of set you off on the right path. Is there somebody you want to mention?
I have a couple. I mean, if I start, I guess. But to me, it wasn't about really. I had, you know, multiple bosses in the past. Leader followed, and I suppose I became a leader because I believe, good leader, you have to be a good follower. Yeah. So I tried to follow them all. Stood out. One of them, advisor at Tulane University, Dr. Glenn Boyd. He is first of all, he's the reason why I came to the USA in scholarship. Wow. And so he got cool. I mean, I always got good advice from him, and he also actually came from consulting. So he was, so he knew a lot about consulting and engineering, how to do hands-on work, and he prepped us for that, and he did a wonderful job. So that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah, Good stuff.
I'll say a couple. So, my father was a civil engineering professor at the University of Waterloo, structures professor for over 40 years. So I was born into that industry. Yeah. So there wasn't even a question of what I was going to be doing. I was going to be a civil engineer. When my professional hockey career didn't go anywhere, I ended up being a professional engineer. Yeah. And of course, same for me. Same for you. And so same with Firat, like my PhD supervisor, Professor Lee Boyer, who retired a long time ago. He was pretty influential. And then, when I was a young assistant professor at the University of Alberta, one of the senior faculty, Professor Simon Aberisk, who is now the Dean of Engineering at the University of Alberta, he was really influential in helping me really understand kind of the business side of academia, right? And how to really work well with industry. And that's really the key. Like as a professor, if you're not working with industry, then, you're not going to be
missing out.
Yeah. And that's unfortunately a message that gets lost with a lot of academics.
So real quick, let's flip the script, because now you guys are at the point in your careers where you're respected in your individual fields. What do you tell younger people that are getting into this field? Like what's some advice that you pass along to them?
I tell them to diversify at the beginning. So I would advise them to get exposure to as many subfields of civil engineering as they can. I'm speaking of civil engineering because that's all I know. And then choose, but do not make a firm commitment to any field without seeing actually what it is. It might be a little bit different than what you read in the textbook. And if you can get a job right out of college or right out of high school, just get the job, get some experience. And if you want to specialize in an area, then go back to school and earn a maybe graduate degree or bachelor's degree. And I think that would be a good path for them.
Yeah. Well, I think the advice I tell to young people in that very similar in that way, but I think it's getting involved and do something that you're passionate about. Right. And if you can't wake up every day and say, hey, I love going to my job, once that stops, then it's not good. Right.
Did you say that this morning?
Which part?
I love going to my job when you woke up this morning.
Yeah, of course I did. I told you I'm re-energized.
Oh, that's right.
Yes. Of course I did.
I mean, that's so critical. That's so important and learn, like be a sponge, right? Like, and in my career has always been that way. Like, I have always taken in, and even to this day, I'm learning so much from other people, and it's
never stop learning.
You never stop learning, right? And you're not the expert. You got to learn.
Yep. Tell you what, this has been an amazing conversation.
Yep.
I mean, I like the balance between talking about the industry stuff specifically, and also looping in UESI to it. Is there anything else you guys want to make sure we talk about before we let you get out of here? We touched on a lot. Or you can say, guys, you did phenomenal. There's nothing else I can think of. We're used to it. Don't worry about it.
So this means I get to ask you a question?
You can, sure. This is your time. You have the table.
How did the idea come about? Whose idea was it? This phenomenal success on the podcast from two fellow engineers. That's amazing. So I want to know the story.
For the GEOHOLICS? Yes. Oh, geez. Let's see, the 30-second version. 6 years ago. So this is good. We're kind of reminiscing a little bit, hit 250 episodes. About 6 years ago, me and a buddy of mine, Big Shoots, we'll call him. He's a photogrammetrist. And of course, me being a surveyor, he's a big podcast fan. I was a big podcast fan, Joe Rogan. And we were just sitting around one day like, hey, was there any podcasts for like surveyors or mappers or whatever? And we're like searching around, like there was nothing, there's nothing out there. Not that we could find anyways. And, he's like, well, let's record a podcast. I was like, all right, we have no idea what the hell we're doing. And we literally, my wife was a event coordinator for like a bar and restaurant in Tempe. And we went there one night and they had like this, they have an upstairs back room, literally behind like a bookcase. Like you pull a book out, the wall opens and there's like this little condo kind of in there, So we sat in there and we recorded like 30 minutes, just he and I just kind of bullshitting, and drinking beers the whole time. And we had an absolute blast doing it, right? Like that was so much fun. It's like the rush behind and everything was just unbelievable. So we uploaded it to, I guess it was Podbean, which we still use. And we're like, what the hell? Let's see what happens. And all of a sudden, like, 5 people downloaded it. We're like,
you got to start somewhere.
We're like, hold on a sec.
You got something here.
5 people downloaded our episode. You gotta be kidding me. And to be honest with you, it just grew from there. Ryan, a couple years in, he had to take off for personal reasons, and then Sean's been on board for almost 2.5, 3 years. Yep. And it's taken on a life of its own. It's like, I think we made a lot of really good decisions. I think our approach to our guests is what separates us from most podcasts. Super casual conversation. We like to have fun, obviously. You guys were very, very willing participants, in which we really appreciate, but it's the guests, it's, we just, we've got so many people we could thank for our success.
Well, that's not what he asked.
That's how it started. Yeah, that's how it started. You got me going down that, but that's kind of how it started. Yeah, it's just, it's just
so
kind of life its own.
So the short version is
everything starts over a couple of
everything
years.
starts.
Well, I'm sure,
and not knowing what the hell you're doing.
5 downloads.
And
5 downloads. Yeah.
I'm sure at some point you're like, what's the worst that's going to happen?
Oh yeah.
Try it. If we don't like it, we won't do it anymore.
Exactly.
But you just tried it.
Unfortunately, we've never really, hit that. I've never, like, in 6 years, I've never been like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. The questions never even crossed my mind, but Sean's a big part of that too. He brings out the best in me.
Well, and I brought the civil engineering side,
yeah.
and we start to get out of the survey.
And being just diversifying, topics and guests, and we're to the point now where we've had Olympic athletes on, we've had bands on, we've had professional athletes on. It's been a lot of fun. But being diversified, I think you mentioned that earlier about approaching your engineering profession. Same thing in the podcast world.
Yeah. Just trying to get more content and more different perspectives and
being relevant.
Being
relevant. And this conversation is extremely relevant. So it's been a great conversation. We appreciate your guys' time for sure.
Yeah. I got another question. Why do we call you Dr. Sam, but not you Dr. Firat?
Good question. I don't have an answer for that.
Okay.
Well, I think
I'm not a professor.
no, because my last name, so people can't pronounce it, right?
Great.
Sever is easier to pronounce. But that's really the reason. That's kind of how I've been known in the industry for that, because I just can't pronounce my last name.
Yeah. I understand.
All right. Well, before we let you go, we have one question we ask everybody. Dr. Sam, I'll let you go first. Do you have a mantra that you live by?
My mantra is to just have fun, right? And try to go out there and just enjoy life, right? Don't take things too seriously.
Love it. Don't fear failure. Dr. Firat.
Dr. Firat?
Just Firat. Thank you.
Any words?
Yeah, that's a really good one. I would say live well, do good work, and love this planet and all the species on it.
Love it.
Wow. That's a good.
Yeah.
I like that. What do you got, buddy? Anything else?
No. I just
you were pretty amped up this show as kind of your people.
I finally get to talk among you get
to talk with smart people. Go ahead and say it.
I didn't say that. No, it's been a really good conversation. This is an industry that throughout my career just been close to in a lot of different aspects, and it's really been an honor having you guys on.
Can I tell you about a very interesting thing that happened to me this year?
Yes. We would love to.
I'm about to be on the little screen. So
it's the live screen.
Yeah, television.
Really?
Yeah. So I recorded part of season 3 of a show on the History Channel called Life After People. And it's about what does the world look like if there were no people around? And so I was approached by a producer, and I went out and I actually I recorded everything in November in Toronto, because a lot of movies and television shows are done in Toronto or Vancouver. So I flew up there, did it, and it's the 3rd season, and I'll be in 3 out of the 8 episodes of the show that's supposed to be coming out. They tell me the producer said it's coming out in the summer. But it's really relevant to this topic because one of the episodes is about pipelines. What would happen to gas pipelines and oil pipelines if nobody were around? I'm not going to tell you it's not going to be a spoiler alert. So you're going to have to watch the show to find out. And another one's on water pipelines.
Wow. I just think of that
That's cool.
show, The Last Man on Earth. Have you seen that show before?
Yeah.
Have you guys seen this
I
show?
haven't seen that one.
It came out what, 4 or 5 years ago on Fox or something. It was a comedy. It only lasted like 1 or 2 seasons, but it was like a guy was like just woke up and he was like the only guy on the planet. And then like, what would you do? And it's him just like breaking into Walmart and making a kiddie pool out of tequila and just swimming in it, like stuff like that you can just do whatever. But some of the infrastructure stuff started to come out of that because he was living in a mansion and eventually he couldn't flush the toilet anymore.
Exactly.
Some of that kind of stuff was really interesting.
That's the premise of Life After People. They have a really good, they got about 3
Life After People.
About 3 million per episode, 3 million followers.
Wow, that's cool.
So, yeah, History Channel. I'm excited about it because I get some acting credit now. So it's interesting.
That on your resume.
Yes, Dr. Center with the Oscars.
Exactly. No, it's the Emmys. It's the Emmys. He's starting on the ground.
I'm on the small screen, not on the big screen.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Sam. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. What else you got, Kent? You going to take us out here?
That's about it, man. I got nothing else. It was a great conversation. I really enjoyed it.
You know what I'm really excited about the most?
Oh, geez.
Probably for episode 250, like great energy, great episode. I mean,
yes,
I can't
say
fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. Really appreciate you guys coming.
You guys are fantastic.
It's a historic, what did I call it? The quarter millennial episode.
Yes, I think you did call it that. Best guest ever. How about that? Love it. Yes, there we go.
It was fun. We had a good time.
Awesome. Appreciate it again, guys. All right, adding value, making friends. Check those boxes. If anyone would like to be a guest on a future show, shoot us an email at info@thegeoholics.com. We're booking into
April?
No. And middle of May. So if you want to get on the show calendar, shoot us an email. Spots are filling up quickly. Rush, Tom Sawyer, available everywhere. Until next time, everyone, 2 really good mantras here. Have fun and enjoy life. I love that one. Live well, do good work, love the planet and all the species on it.
Love it.
That was deep. That one might have brought a tear to my eye. Most importantly, be safe and healthy, everybody. Boom. Just like that.
This was fun.
Hey,
That's cool. That was awesome.
can you take a picture just kind of like of myself here, just with this stuff on? I just wanted to, just like I'm doing this. Well, or whatever, just us or whatever. Yeah. Just kind of just showing the
Should we hide the beer